You ever have one of those days? Yeah, me too. Sometimes it does just hurt. Sometimes spending your days and nights alone in the backcountry with that pain is hard. I started Section B with a heart full of hope and excitement about what was to come. Iconic stops on the PCT. Mike's Place, Mary's Oasis, Paradise Valley Cafe. I couldn't wait. But my old bone injuries had started flaring up. The wind injury ankle was not happy with me. And oh, those blisters. Trust me, I wish Injinji socks worked for these pups. The views would be my companions. I would grasp their outstretched hands and propel myself forward. Always and only forward. The first hour out of Agua Caliente Creek tickled my soul. Felt like fairies were escorting me up and away from the creek, even if they were just early morning mayflies. I must have walked through 1,000 spider silkies, some sticking to the brim of my hat and flying around my face. Nature's own party streamers. I took them all with me as I began the day's tough climb with fully loaded pack. Oh, how I missed those rolling hills around Warner Springs already. Took rest in a manzanita grove for a foot and snack break. Didn't even mind the black flies and mosquitoes trying to hang out. Then the trees all turned to rock and dust. The sun screamed at me from everywhere, all at once, by 10 a.m. My body wanted to chug water, but I had to conserve. A sip every 20 minutes. What a treat! I tried to convince myself. Then, the sign. The sign! I made it to Mike's Place. Wow, those water tanks did not disappoint. Had the area down at the house to myself that Memorial Day. Enjoyed actual furniture to take a nap on. Used one of the most unique pit toilets and bathed my soul in those good old weird vibes, just how I like them. Yes, people really do open up their property to strangers like this. Wow. My body started to churn in the rhythm of morning miles, afternoon rest, and evening jaunts to my next campsite. The sweet, soft hours of light just before arriving at camp were my favorite. The play of pinks and fading blues. I wondered to myself sometimes if I could make it all the way into Idyllwild. Would my feet fail me again? Would I fail me? Just make it to Mary's Oasis. That was the next goal. Through the harsh sun, sandy trail, and rocks. I met Mary after she finished filling the tank that day. She does all 500 gallons by hand. We talked about hikers not carrying enough water, about the woman who died last year, right before she could make it to the Oasis, how the trail has changed over the last 2 decades. Mary is one of the original and famous trail angels of the PCT, and it was an honor to spend time with her. I'm forever grateful for all that she gives to hikers on this long trail. The day had been hot, sweaty, long water carries through dusty air. But I'd taken rest and let my feet breathe. That's why I was so surprised when I took my socks off that night. The pinky toe that greeted me in gnarly defiance of my preventative care was not pretty. Tears of frustration at everything. Hurting and being so dirty, hurting and being alone, hurting and not eating enough good food, hurting and having to dry camp. I felt it happening again, the injuries and pain that caused me to get off trail last trip. I was worried. My leukotape had melted to itself on the small spindle I made before I left. Fail. Seemed like I was running out of bandage options, but I wasn't ready to give up. Sleep first, then get to Paradise Valley Cafe. Everything would be better in the morning. It would, right? Yes, and thank goodness for pocket knife scissors. Patched myself up enough to push up and onward to get that cafe breakfast. And lunch, of course. Last night, I'd texted my husband using my satellite messenger and asked him to Amazon me some fresh leukotape to the cafe. Technology, y'all. Fingers or toes crossed that it would arrive in time. The suspense was already too real. Highway 74. I hitched a ride with an old man in a beat-up red convertible. He had an open mug of tea in his hand. Told me he turned around to pick me up because my face was so disappointed. I mean, I thought I'd been trying to smile at the 20 vehicles passing me by, but okay, sir. Fresh food, an actual restroom with running water to wash my hands, an Amazon package that I jumped up to grab out of the driver's hands, an outdoor faucet to wash my feet, a sterilized needle from the gas station in Warner Springs, draining blisters as poor patrons tried to eat their meals nearby, wrapping my feet in all the tape for the blisters, for the bone pain, for the strained tendons. Okay, let's go. Some teenagers heading to party in Desert Springs crammed me into their sports car and dropped me back at the trailhead, filled again with resolve, with hope, with the promise of mountains ahead. There were no tears that night. Yeah, there was still pain and plenty of discomfort, but mostly there was that pure joy that comes from doing something you absolutely love and making the most of it, all alone. I would push on to Idyllwild, but for now, sleep. Good night from the Pacific Crest Trail. Thank you so much for taking a walk with me. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel for more adventures ahead. See you next week.